チャーの皆さん、こんにちは。私はウルトラマン。そしてあなたが見ているのはマルチボイスレビュアーズウルトラマンです。それではお楽しみください。
Oh man, so awesome. I never. Oh, hi everybody. Well, I decided to take a little break to read some old Guardians of the Galaxy comics from 2008. This is volume 2, and I wish I have volume. I mean, this is volume 1. I wish I have volume 2, so I have a complete story of the Guardians. And for those of you who are wondering, my Doctor Who crossover with the Guardians of the Galaxy, it's done. I decided to have it uploaded on this Sunday, June 4th, because that's my birthday. In case some of you are wondering. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another multi-voice reviewer. Welcome to Multi-Voice Entertainment. I am the multi-voice reviewer. I have many voices, but one opinion. And, today is June, right? So, you know what that means. I decided to bring back Asian Month. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I have decided to review some more movies from Asia. China, Japan, Korea, Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia, Laos, any part of the country. And today I'm going to be talking about the most popular Japanese superhero of all time. And here's one thing. I've noticed in the news that there's a lot of anti-Asians going on out there. People who are bullying people because they're Asians, and also because of the coronavirus. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't do this. I have more respect for the Asian people, and even some of you kept telling them, go back for wherever it is they came from, even though they're born here. That is arrogant. I'm not blaming any Asians for the coronavirus. You want to know who I blame? The president of China, because he's a dumbass. I have no respect for him for keeping his mouth shut when the virus was starting to spread. Because he's an arrogant dumbass. But anyway, enough with the whole deal with the whole anti-Asian bullying stuff, which I want that to stop. I mean, heck, I have a Filipino girlfriend, and it kind of shows that I don't pick on anybody who's Asian, because I have more respect for the Asians. Any Asians. But anyway, I'm going to be talking about a science fiction Japanese superhero. Now, one thing I have to say, I thought Goku from Dragon Ball was the superhero icon like Superman. But much to my surprise, Dragon Ball came out in the late 70s. This superhero started back in 1966. And the one I'm going to be talking about today is none other than the pretty much old franchise of Ultraman. No, not the DC villain of Superman. He's from an alternate universe where being bad is good and being good is bad. I'm talking about the Japanese one. I said Japanese. Oh yeah, and one time my grandma once told me she thought that Starman is Ultraman. Starman battling against Japanese alien monsters who are about the same height as his. Ultraman battles against Kaijus. And of course, a little known fact, did you know that Starman was actually called Super Giants? I don't know why they call him that in Japan. Oh, and speaking of that, I decided to do some movie riff for his movie just for this Asian month, so you guys should stay tuned on my movie riffs. But anyway, Ultraman started back in 1966. Although from the beginning, the show usually was called Ultra Q. And what the story is about, it's about a man who goes by the name of Sin Hayata. He almost got himself killed, so some good aliens chose him to be his country's savior and gave him a magical little wand that he can lift up in the air, and then he pressed a button, and then boom, he becomes Ultraman. And believe it or not, Ultraman only lasted for like one season until at the end, Ultraman got weak after battling against the last monster, that he was getting so weak that he was dying. So the other Ultraman had to pick him up and take him up into space for his healing. And that will be the last you see that Ultraman. And that was like the last part of Ultraman. Until now, where now there's another series in 1967, and there was Ultraseven. Now, I'm just going to go through all the Ultraman series for every single year. Like in 1971, there is Ultraman Jack, aka Return to Ultraman. And then there is Ultraman Ace in 1972. And of course, it's the first appearance you see Father of Ultra. And then there is Ultraman Toro, 1973. And of course, the first time they show the first female Ultra, Mother of Ultra. And then there is Ultraman Leo, 1974, where they introduce Astra, and also Ultraman King. And of course, during around the time at 1974, there was a bit of a scandal in I think it was either Indonesia or Malaysia. It was in Malaysia, where they introduced Haruman. Now, Haruman is like their Indonesian version of Ultraman, except there's appearance of other Ultraman in the movie called Haruman vs. 7 Ultra. 7 Ultraman. And after they made that movie, the creator of Haruman was trying to declare ownership to all the Ultraman franchises, but he lost. And also, believe it or not, he based Haruman after a Hindu god called Hanuman, who's like a monkey god. But that's mythology for you. And then here is the first animated Ultraman they made, called Ultraman 1979. And they introduce about 4 Ultraman. There is Ultraman Jones. There is Ultraman Elk, Ultraman Lotu, and Mia. And then in 1980, there is Ultraman 80, and they introduce Yellen. That's a name. And then there was an Ultraman ripoff they made, where you can easily find on YouTube, called Space Warriors 2000, which is just clip scenes from all the Ultraman shows, so it's not all that spectacular. And then there was an animated series made in the US called Ultraman USA 1987. And there is Scott Check and Beth involved. And then, just like the Power Rangers, when the Power Ranger took some of the clips from the, they took some of the clips from the Super Sentai and made the Power Ranger really popular. they tried to do the same thing for Ultraman, except not only they filmed it in the U.S., they also filmed it in Australia. So some of the cast members are from both America and Australia, which was called Ultraman Towards the Future 1992, which they call him Great. Now, I remember when I was a young kid, I didn't know anything about Ultraman, but when it showed the show, I thought that was kind of interesting. But sadly, I didn't stick around to watch it because it only lasted for like one season and only like maybe 5 or 6 episodes. And that was it. Didn't last that long. And then the US did it again when they did Ultraman the Powered in 1995, and they call it Ultimate Hero. And then all of a sudden, back to Japan in 1995, they made Ultraman Neos, also known as Pilots. And of course, there's also an introduction of Ultraseven 21. And then there is Ultraman Zerth in 1996. And of course, there's also Ultraman Tiga in 1996. And then there's Ultraman Dyna in 1997. Ultraman Gia in 1998. And of course, they introduced a ghoul. And then there is Ultraman Nice in 1999. I guess he's gonna party like it's 1999. Boom, boom, doom, do, doom, ba ba da ba doom. Yeah. And then there was also Ultraman Cosmos in 2001. And of course, in the movie, there is the, I mean, there were like tons of movies involved during those years, like Justice and of course, Legend of Ultraman in 2003. And then there was Ultraman Boys from 2002 called Ultraman Colosseum. I think I got that right. And then in 2004, there is Ultraman The Next. And then there is also Ultraman Nexus in 2004. And that's when they introduce Dark Faust, and Dark Mephisto, and Dark Zagi and Neo. And then in 2005, same year I graduated, there is Ultraman Max. Now he's going to the Max. And that's when they introduce Zeon. And there is Ultraman Maburus in 2006 with Hikari. And then there is Ultraseven X in 2007, which introduced some of their movies like Mega Monster Battle Ultra Galaxy Legend 2009. And they also introduced Belial and Sunzio. And then there is Ultraman Saga in 2012. Ultraman Ginga in 2013, and also introduce Victory. There's a lot for me to go through here, folks. And then there was a kids channel called there's a CGI animated series they made for kids called Ultraman Reboot in 2014, and they also introduced Storm. And then there's Ultraman X in 2015, Ultraman Orb in 2016 with Origin. That's what they introduced there. I almost forgot about another one, Ultraman Geed in 2017 when they introduced Primitive. And then there is also, now this one they deal with two. They introduce Ultraman R&B, and R&B stands for Blue and Ruby. So there's two guys who has and of course Blue means like ice or water, while Ruby stands for fire. So they both are elemental Ultraman. And they also introduce a girl into the group called Russo. And then that's when Netflix showed up. Now, this is one thing I did watch. This is one Ultraman series I did watch because I do have Netflix. I only watched the first series of Ultraman, the series made back in 1966. But I did watch the Netflix series, and I have to say, I was really impressed with the animation and the CGI, and the voice acting was good, and the stories was phenomenal. And they also introduced like over maybe 6 or 7 Ultramen, and of course there's one Ultra Girl. But I don't know. The new look of the Ultraman in that series kind of reminds me of Superhuman Samurai, Boom Boom Hammer Squad. Yeah, they've been around when I was young, and I noticed that show. And not many people know that Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad was actually based from Gridman and the Hyper Agent. And then in 2019, besides the Netflix series, which you should watch the Netflix series, it's really good. 3 seasons, it was tremendous. But anyway, in 2019, there is also Ultraman Taiga. And they also introduce Tias and Frama. And of course, the movie in 2020 called Rija. And then there is Ultraman in 2020, Ultraman Z. Like now they're going for the Z instead of the X. Imagine that. Another Ultraman I forgot. There is Ultraman Trigger 2021, where they introduce Reboot and even Trigger Dark. There's another Ultraman I also forgot. Ultraman Regulus 2022. And of course, there was a movie added to it, like Ultraman Galaxy Fight the Distant Crossroads. And of course, there is Zen Ultraman in 2022. Same year that I released my that crossover, sci-fi crossover I made, Flash Gordon meet Buck Rogers. And of course, there is Ultraman Decker. And of course, the movie they made introduced Dinas. And then there is Ultraman Blaze. Update, there are 4 more Ultramans I forgot to mention. There's Ultraman Leo 1974, Ultraman Trigger 1996, Ultraman Justice 2002, and Ultraman Zero in 2009. And those are the series of Ultraman so far. I gotta say, they've been going on like, I thought that Doctor Who was complicated, but right now we're up to maybe 15 or 16 doctors in Doctor Who, while Ultraman There's like tons of them according to this list. There's so many Ultramans out there. Huh. Kind of wonder. What if I would make a audio of my doctor crossing over with Ultraman? Nah. Giant alien monsters would be too much for my doctor to handle. But he'll probably help out the guy who is Ultraman. Although, here's one thing I also discovered. Did you know that Marvel owns Ultraman now? Right now, they've been doing comic books of Marvel's Ultra Rise of Ultraman. Huh. So does that mean that the MCU are going to make their version of Ultraman? Nah. No, I don't think so. I mean, they already have their Asian superhero. I don't think that the MCU would really gonna make their version of Ultraman at all. I mean, I think that's nuts. Oh, hi there, Ultraman. What do you think about my review so far?
なぜあなたは私に話しているのですか？私は観察するためにここにいるただの日本人です。
I don't understand what you're saying.
私の字幕を読んでください。
No, not a clue. I still don't understand what you're saying.
私の字幕を読んでください。
Oh. Oh. Oh, I see. All right. All right. And why do you sound like a girl?
私は女の子のように聞こえません。身を縮めるとこんな風に聞こえます。
Oh, oh, I see. Right. Right. Well, what do you think so far?
そして、ウルトラマンのレビューについてどう思いましたか？あなたはよくやった。すごく感動しました。ありがとう。
Well, arigato to you too. Thank you very much for your compliment. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is my review of Ultraman for the day. Special thanks to the Ultraman who shows up in my show. And if any of you like my review of Ultraman in Asian Month so far, please leave a comment down below, hit like and subscribe for more. And stay tuned for my Doctor Who crossover with the Guardians of the Galaxy on my birthday, June 4th, this Sunday. And right now, I'm going to hold off on my reviews, but I'm going to celebrate Asian Month by doing Japanese movie riffs. And don't worry, folks, you're not going to read their subtitles because most of those movies are in public domain and they're also dubbed. So all I'm going to be doing is just going to voice over those movies. And what I'm going to be doing some riffs of is I'm going to be riffing 2 science fiction superhero Japanese film and 2 others that are not Starman related. And of course, there's a couple of other things I like to do some riffs as well. So you guys stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy my video. And I'm the multi-voice reviewer. I remember it so I can jog your memory.